Hey guys, how you doing? How are you all? Hey, Adega, Keely, Keely Chow, how are you? Let's see. Let me just make sure I get this ready. How are you? Get this all right. One sec. Let's see. All right. One sec. Okay. So great, guys. How are you today? How are you, Adega? I saw you in a couple of chats yesterday. And Keely Chow, welcome. I don't think I've seen you before. So, okay, let me just make sure we just do one thing. Let's do one thing here. And we are ready to go. I hope you guys are having a good holiday. Have had a good holiday. And I hope everybody has been enjoying their new year and the holidays before that. And alrighty. So, I'm gonna start doing a lot of streaming. I've had some technological setbacks for a while. Hey, Timon Phip, how you doing? Hey yo, um, and we're gonna start doing regular streaming, and we'll they're gonna be some there's gonna be some new stuff pretty soon. We were gonna start a Star Wars channel, but I was a little. I don't think it warrants. I don't think I think what I've been seeing lately, it doesn't really warrant having a separate Star Wars channel. So hey Kafia, howdy. So there's gonna be some new developments, and we'll talk about that in the next few days. But I'm just gonna be doing some more streaming, and there's a lot of stuff that we don't talk about. There's a lot of stuff, information that I have and that I get, and not necessarily rumors, but just good, solid information. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk about today, because nobody's talking about. There's a lot of people talking about the space horses and the hair dryer robot, but I haven't really heard people talking about where it all comes from, and it's not really breaking news, but nobody's talking about it. So, yes, every party needs a star. And Kathia, Kathia's star is our star. I'm having a lot of fun watching your videos, Kathia. So, if you guys haven't done so, subscribe to Kathia and Adega and Philip Gaming. Hello, Philip. We interviewed Philip yesterday. Philip is a fascinating guy, actor, multilingual, just wants to get into all sorts of production direction. Just a very talented guy, and we had a really fun time with Fatal yesterday interviewing Philip. So that video, that YouTube video is up, and we're gonna be adding a few more things about Philip this week. So so guys, one of the things that I I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, professionally, kind of a human resources type. industrial psychology background, and there are reasons. There's a lot of talk about the horses and the funny looking robots. But there's reasons for that. And so let's get into that a little bit. Um, Basically, it's very simple, and it's not a secret. It's very simple. Um, we, traditionally, Star Wars fandom has been predominantly, it's been lopsided. It's been very male. Okay, and it makes sense with what with Kathleen Kennedy and whoever's running Lucasfilm, or Disney, in this case Bob Iger. It makes sense for them to want to kind of level the playing field, and maybe you need more. Princess Leia was a great heroine, but maybe there needs to be more female representation, and obviously they've gone ahead and done that, probably to in certain areas to an unhealthy extreme, SJW wise. But it makes sense to level the playing field a little bit, and have the female fandom grow. Hello, Red Alert. Hail. Yes, Philip. Horses on the ships, but not inside the ships, which is even stranger. Yeah. Yep, they could absolutely, Philip. So this all comes from the idea of balancing the playing field between the male and the female fandoms. Now, so what do you do when you want to balance the playing field? You want to make things more appealing to female fans. And one of the things that you're doing, and this is something that JJ and George have talked about, and even Freddie Prince Jr. talked about it on his rant. You want to appeal to the younger crowd, because this is going to connect with them in a special way. So what they're saying is that they want to connect to young women, adolescents, and pre-adolescent females. So what does that mean? That means that they want to make it more appealing, and the whole idea of this whole campaign about the Force is female is, on the surface, it's a good idea. And it's a good idea to level the playing field. Now, as long as the obvious problem here is that you have to stick true to your, you have to stick true to what Star Wars is if you want to go ahead and. Hello, Alicia. Hey, Drew. How you doing? Bounding is in the house. Bounding in the comics is in the house. So you want to stay true to Star Wars. So but that's a whole different issue. We're just going to talk about we're just going to talk about where these droids and these concepts of horses are coming from. Now, basically, it comes down to this. Basically, somebody at Disney at some point told JJ, you got to put in space horses, and you got to put in this hairdryer robot we came up with. You got to put that into your movie. You got to fit it in. You got to write it into your story, and it's going to have to make sense. So, and this is not a leak, or this is not inside information. This is just common knowledge, the way things work in corporate Hollywood. And let's say too that apart from the Horsies and the hairdryer robot, obviously have an ultimate goal of being marketable as toys. So, all right. So what do we? Hey, Swift Raptor, how you doing? Hey, yes, and again, Alicia. So where does this bring us to again? So it brings us to the fact that we're trying to level a playing field. There's the Forces female campaign, which is kind of the backbone of the new paradigm, of new philosophy behind Lucasfilm to level the playing field, perhaps to an extreme, uh, the way they're going about it. And what happens is that they turn to focus groups, they turn to marketing researchers, and they don't even really have to look far because this marketing research is pretty basic in corporate America marketing departments, and Lucasfilm doesn't have to look far. Disney doesn't have to look far. They probably just have it inside, um, inside in house is what I'm trying to say. And one of the things they do with these marketing research and focus groups is that they're trying to find things that are appealing to young women, to adolescent women, and to pre-adolescent women. Pre-adolescent females. So uh, the idea here is that people are given surveys or tests or whatever that is, and they're basically asked what makes you feel warm and fuzzy, out of these objects. Um, a football, a hair dryer, a whatever, an exercise machine, a bicycle, whatever, and what makes young women, uh, adolescents and pre-adolescent females feel warm and fuzzy is what they're going to use to put into their product, into the movie, into their finished product. So basically, what is high on that list, and these lists for marketing researchers it's pretty evident. What's high on the list for adolescent females and pre-adolescent females and young women? What's really high is horses and ponies, and hair dryers are very high on that warm fuzzy feeling list. So they're using this subconscious, almost uh, on a subconscious level, marketing information to come up with, you know characters or animals and robots in the new Star Wars movie. So there somebody at some point is telling the showrunners, the production staff, that they have to evolve some kind of robot that resembles a hair dryer. And this might not be, when you look at it for the first time, it probably looks weird. Some people said it looks like a lampshade. Some people said it looks like a hair dryer. Some people said it looks like something else. But at first glance, you might not realize it. But on a very subconscious level, there is a connection there, for people who have an affinity, any kind of affinity toward this object. And so they developed a ridiculously simple, I would say, way too simple robot, um, regarding regarding the hair dryer. Yeah, Swift Raptor. That's what I was looking at Swift Raptor's comment. Star Wars trilogy was made purely by marketing research. Exactly. And he says, what a terrifying concept. Absolutely. Diego says he agrees. Um, so basically, and the funny part is that Disney has even been late to the game with getting some of these toys out. That's the few toys for the robot hairdryer. The few toys that are out there are the ones I've seen are kind of expensive. Like one's like 100 and hold on. One is a one second. I'm gonna see if I can show you guys. Um, all right, I want you guys to see this. So while we talk, you guys can look at this. Okay. So, um, Hold on, let me just. I'm getting used to it. It's really easy to use, but okay. Um, I think you guys are seeing. Are you guys seeing my screen? No. Why is this not letting me? All right. For some reason, it's not letting me. It should be letting me. Oh, here we go. All right. Okay. Now I think you guys are seeing. I think you guys are seeing the. Yeah, there you are. You guys are seeing some of these. So, like the hair dryer robot, for example, the hair dryer robot is, there's one at 149 American dollars. There's one at $50, and there's a couple of other cheaper versions, including a stuffed toy. But but basically, and if you take a good look at it, it really that's what it is. The head at least is basic. It's clearly it's a hair dryer, and so the idea is that they want to connect with young women, adolescent and pre-adolescent females, on the level of that warm fuzzy feeling with regards to the hair dryer. Yeah, Wes. I know that the R2 unit for 1600 looks pretty cool. Yeah. Philip says we need one for the guy's jock strap droid. Yeah. What do you think about the R2D2 type droid in the last episode of The Mandalorian that had arms and legs? What did you guys think about it? I watched it. I don't remember seeing it right now. I don't remember. Drew says he likes that R2. So, so basically, guys, the fact that that we're getting these, components integrated into the movie is all about trying to connect on a subconscious level to 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 females in the audience, and at the same time, they're also trying to plug new toys, new products to sell. Um, and by the way, I just want to point this out. Here's the you see baby Yoda here about the bottom. We It's really too bad that Disney completely dropped the ball on putting out some kind of baby Yoda products before Christmas. That's too bad. But anyway, regardless. So and here's a few other here's a few other products. So so we're talking about the hair dryer. Let's go to the space ponies, the space horsies. The space horsies and the space ponies. Those are very high on the list. Very high on the warm fuzzy feeling list for young women, adolescent and pre-adolescent females. So there's obviously a big effort to include them. Now, I think that that at some point JJ was directed to put them to incorporate them into a critical pivotal scene in the movie. And that's pretty obvious because they could have been riding ponies on a planet, and they were at one point in the Rise of Skywalker, but to have them do it in the final battle at the end of the movie, which automatically makes that final battle be right on the surface of a planet or in the upper atmosphere of a planet, because otherwise the Horsies wouldn't be there. So they're obviously JJ's been forced to put this into the movie under a situation which is not ideal, and it's kind of It's kind of too bad that he was forced to do this. Is probably one of the many things he was forced to do because when we're looking at, oops, sorry, um, there, okay. Uh, Now that we're hearing about the JJ leaks yesterday, the last 24 hours, this all makes a lot of sense because if JJ was, JJ wanted a lot of control apparently for coming back and doing the episode 9. But if he was really that, if JJ was really um, that with his, if he was really being interfered with that much, of course they're going to tell him to do stuff like this. Yeah, you got to put in space ponies, JJ. You got to put in space ponies, and you got to do it in a pivotal scene of the movie. And of course, they have to write this in, and in order for the space ponies to be in the final battle, I mean, there's got to be a lot of stuff going a certain way for animals to be breathing on top of a star destroyer. So there you have it. Wes, you haven't seen it yet. Oh, Philip says when directors are forced to do things, you get movies like Spider-Man 3. Yeah. Kathia agreed, but giving them new Princess Leia or another Amidala won't help. Okay. Yeah. So this is not. It's not really a secret what we're talking about. I just wanted to bring it up because nobody's really talking about it. And after the whole thing with JJ, the JJ leaks, and people asking for the JJ cut, this is just more. This is just more proof of the fact that JJ was forced to do things a certain way. I think it's ridiculous to try to have the director of the movie have to incorporate ponies in the space battle, horses in the space battle. And this is not. This is obviously something that he was forced to do. Um, in my areas, do you know how many teen females I run into try to mean girl me about Doctor Who hoodie? Says Kate. Yeah, my Star Wars headband. Oh, I'm sorry, KPia. Uh, oh, Wes says I saw episode 9. Okay. Kick butt type, says Alicia. So, Kathy, you're a real woman, says Drew. I'm over 40 and been a geek girl my whole life. You think 14-year-old is going to shame me into acting my age? Good for you, Kathia. So, what do you guys, just out of curiosity, on a score of 1 to 10, what did you guys, what would you guys rate the last? I mean, I have probably a pretty good idea what you guys are going to say, but what would each of you in the chat rate the Rise of Skywalker? 0 being bad, and from 0 to 10, and 10 being the best. I would say for myself, it's a very strange feeling watching the movie because it's a very strange feeling because it's very, to me, it seemed very disorganized. The beginning was too. It was just like, I felt like I needed Dramamine after the beginning, and I don't get dizzy anywhere. Drew says Supreme Heretics says 4.5. Wes says 4. Philip Gaming says 5. I would go with 4. I was going to say 4. Wes, there's no plot. There is no plot. Yeah, you're right. It's my colleagues are in the okay. Yeah, you're right, Wes. There is no plot. At least she hasn't seen it yet. So basically, yeah, so there, it's not much. There's not much here to talk about. I'm going to analyze the movie a little bit more because I'm sure there's more elements that we haven't picked up on. I think that the the hair dryers and space ponies are just the more evident parts of what JD was forced to do to comply with corporate marketing strategies. Um, Diego says, I never watched the movie. I don't plan on it. I have more pressing things to do. Watch a weak franchise. Yeah, that I used to love. Yeah, Diego. I understand. Um, Katie says, when I was 16, I got in school detention because I lectured my economics teacher using a player's handbook and a DMG. He told me to you couldn't bring them to school. Dungeon Master's Guide. Okay. It's like the Beyond the Thunder. Yeah. Yeah, there's a little, I don't know, there's a little Mad Max feeling to that, Wes. Yeah. Well, when we play, if we ever play D&D, we're gonna have Kathy be the dungeon master. um, so yeah, there's got to be more elements. There's one thing that really stuck out to me about the Rise of Skywalker. Um, when regarding this whole was JJ forced to do this and were things changed post production, even without JJ's consent. Him being the guy in charge supposedly. There's a shot and there's a shot in the movie that I cannot fathom that JJ would be okay with that shot, and it looks like such a rookie mistake to me. And I heard some people talk about it. I heard Gary mention it. Gary from Neurotic mention it at one point. There's a shot in the movie where Chewbacca is there's kind of a side shot of Chewbacca, and that side of Chewbacca, that side shot of Chewbacca of Chewie, just looks like a guy in a. It looks like a guy. Um, that it's that the basketball player who plays Chewie. He's a good guy, but it's not his fault. But it just looks like a guy in a Bigfoot costume, and the shot is terrible. It looks like a good person in a costume, and and that shot for me, if that shot makes it into the final cut of the movie, there's something really wrong. I I don't I don't I don't know. Did you guys? Who else noticed that shot of Chewie from the side, just looking really? It was just alarming to me. Like that was just a red flag because I don't. There was no way JJ would put that. There's no way any whatever you think of JJ Abrams. There's no way he would put that into the final cut of the film. Philip says he could have still implemented those corporate requirements better. Yeah, maybe. Maybe the hair dryer droid could have made a feature that distinguished itself apart from BB-8. Maybe, yeah, that's interesting. I think Wes says I think Chewie's stunt double put on weight. Yeah, in the desert, Wes. It was in the desert. Yeah, it was like at that point before. I think it was at that point before Chewie got captured. Um, but anyway, that was a big red flag to me. And so now, all these pieces are starting to fit together now. Now that we're hearing about now that we're hearing about the whole thing with JJ, and I don't want to, I'm not our channel is not about, going off on, Disney or anybody or anybody else for that matter, but, just critiquing it in a healthy, constructive way. Um, Yeah, Wes says it looked like a guy in a Bigfoot costume, a big guy. Yeah, yeah. And Casey says that is offensive. Hair dryers. Yeah, Kathia. You mean was it offensive as a female fan? Is that what you mean, Kathia? Now there may be there may be Let's put a racing stripe on the Falcon. Every boy knows that makes it go faster. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny, Katie. Um, so I mean, I don't know. There may be some feminists out there who don't like the thing about the hair dryer, but um, that's why. Hey, ambassador, how you doing? That's why Disney might not admit to. That's not really. It hasn't even been brought up. It's not a secret. I mean, the whole thing about the hair dryers and the ponies. It's not a secret. It's just common knowledge in the world of marketing that this is the way things are done. Um, so anyway, I don't see the space ponies for sale. I've looked for them. I haven't seen the space ponies for sale. But I got to tell you, as it says this, the 149 model of the hair dryer droid, Star Wars Do interactive droid. I mean, maybe as a toy, it works pretty cool, and moves pretty cool. Who knows? But who knows? So yeah, you guys are talking about BSG, huh? The next BSG show is set in the 2000s BSG universe, but it will very likely deal with the first Cylon War. That's cool. Is that for sure, Drew? Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's interesting. At least he says no origin. Hopefully. Yeah, Adega, you said something interesting, and I kind of feel that way too. Adega, the droids are really no big deal to me since there were always strange droids in the Star Wars universe. Space ponies, on the other hand, yeah, yeah, there were a lot of strange droids. Yeah. Kathy says, I don't know, PJ. The Daleks look like a spinning trash can. It was due to budget. That little droid was probably tiny budget, but a hairdryer for demographics. Not, um, I okay. I mean, yeah, that's what. So okay, it's fair to say that, Kathy. Um, the amount of money though that they put into the movie, um, the droid is the least of their concerns money wise. To be, I think. Um, red alert. Oh, yeah. If you guys want any information whatsoever on anything, the best place to go is Bounding into Comics. And John Trent and Drew, the Supreme Heretic, are at the helm. Actually, I'm going to put you guys. Ronald D. Moore, yeah. Um, I'm going to put your channel in the link, Drew. All right. Well, I'm putting Bounding into Comics in the link. So, yeah, Drew has his own personal channel, and I'm putting. So subscribe to Drew, and subscribe to Bounding into Comics. So there we go. Red Alert says if he's working on the new BSG show, I'll be hopeful. I was wondering why they used horses instead of camels. Says Wes. Okay. Yeah, well, instead of camels. Um, yeah, Ambassador says nothing will top R2 or 3PO. I never got into BB-8. Even less with D. Yeah, My Little Pony perhaps says Swift Raptor. Um, yeah, I mean, I it's possible. Um, it's possible. Maybe I don't know who owns My Little Pony. Does Disney own My Little Pony? Maybe they do. But I would think that I would think that let's see, who owns My Little Pony? It's owned by Hasbro. Um, it's owned by Hasbro. Maybe Hasbro might have some kind of hmm. So yeah, I don't see the ambassador. By the way, I wanted to see if I'm gonna talk to you about yeah Hasbro yeah ambassador. I'm gonna see if you want to come on here sometime. We're gonna start doing more live streaming, and it would be nice to have you on. So I wish I could find a Battlestar Pegasus toy or model somewhere. The Mercury class Battlestar is awesome. Yeah, Drew. Yeah, the Pegasus. Supreme Heretic is. Do you know when they're coming out with the BSG? Bronies and furries. Do we know when they're gonna? It's probably sometime, probably a year's out at least, right? Hmm. So everybody who's in the chat, if you guys haven't subscribed to Adega Outlaw, who has content on the YouTube channel, Kathia Star, who has content on her YouTube channel, Alicia Victoria Parker, Supreme Heretic, Philip Gaming has a channel as well. So subscribe to each other, guys. And the ambassador. The ambassador has his own channel. So hopefully we'll get the ambassador to come out here one time. The new BSG will be later this year or 2021. It is going to be a launch show with new NBC streaming service. Cool. That's awesome, Joe. That's good news, man. That's good news. See, like they, so Ronald D. Moore and they really went out there when they had listened. They changed the sex of Starbuck, the gender of Starbuck. That hey, Dr. Coffin's Nails. They changed the gender of Starbuck. That is a big deal. And some people were kind of just like, let's wait and see what this is going to be like. But the one thing that's great about science fiction is that the one thing that's great about science fiction is that anything is possible. And when you have good science fiction, all kinds of weird shit happens. Body switching, people die, come back to life, etc., etc. Anything can happen in science fiction. So as long as you do it respectfully, intelligently, and within the frame of canon, there's almost nothing you can't do in science fiction. And that's one of the most that's one of the most amazing things about science fiction. You can literally just find a formula to do anything you want, as long as you do. It's really about how you do it. It's not what you do. It's about how you do it. And this is where a lot of these franchises have been going wrong lately. Drew, do you want to? Drew, since you're the guy with the inside scoop on stuff, do you want to come on and talk Battlestar Galactica for a little bit? I would love that. I would love to talk Battlestar Galactica for a little bit. Maybe you can just do you feel like it? All right. So awesome, Drew. I'm gonna DM it to you. All righty. I think it's going to be a treat that we have Bounding into Comics here talking to us about. There you are. Talking to us about the new Battlestar, because that's something I'm crazy about, and I know you guys are too. Done, Drew. So, for those of you guys who don't know Drew, Drew is. Well, wait till he gets on. So, we are starting up Saturday Night Latchcom again, and now it's been a while, and it's basically due to my technical problems that we haven't done it yet, but we're going to start this Saturday. So that's going to be good, and our friend Elihu, a distinguished gentleman and professional comedian, and one of our most valued members of Orville Nation community, is going to be co-hosting with me. And there may be a few people from the Orville 24/7, by the way. And for those of you who don't know what the Orville 24/7 is, it is a fan site that Alicia, Yes and Again, Mary Lee, and Tink have put together. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. Hey, Drew.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
How you doing? Hey, I thought I saw you guys start talking about Battlestar Galactica. I love that. So it's a treat for you to come on and chat with us. Thank you.
Oh, dude, the honor's all mine, man. PJ, after all, how supportive you are all the time. You're in every chat when we do Bounding Live. You come to my own channel and hang out with me, dude. I can't thank you enough. I mean,
I'm sure I miss you guys a lot, but I enjoy it. And for those of you guys who don't know, um, Drew, how many of you are behind Bounding into Comics? Is it just you and John, or?
no, we have a lot of writers. It's John, of course, is the boss man. He's the editor in chief, and then there's me. I'm like the staff writer that kind of covers. I'm more or less like the Battlestar Galactica guy, and I cover gaming and what's going on all the streaming platforms and stuff like that. And we all sort of, as a group, we write about Star Wars and Star Trek and the big stuff, but it's usually me, John Trent. We have the other writer that does stuff, Don Edmonds, and we have Philip Pratt, and they do mostly a lot of the comic stuff. And then we have Jorge Arenas that does a lot of the fantasy stuff and Star Trek. So yeah, we have a lot of people on our staff, and then we have, of course, the people that cover movies. We have Allie. She covers movies, and a couple of the other writers. So yeah, we got actually a pretty fairly decent sized staff.
Yeah, actually that's interesting. I didn't realize there were so many. It makes sense though, because you guys are on the ball on so much stuff. I mean, it doesn't seem like 2 or 3 people could do it.
Yeah, it does give the opportunity for us to kind of, also from a writing perspective, for the most times we can cover, the stories that are interesting to us. And when you're writing, any of you guys or gals out there that write, you do such a better job when you're enthused about what you're writing about. So with having a decent sized staff, we're able to accommodate that, because people can kind of pick and choose their stories and things of that nature, and that works out well, because we don't get like stagnant or stale, like writing stuff that we're just like blah. So
What do you want to give us your take? Because I don't think I've heard your take on this. What's your take on how they did the gender switch to Starbuck? Now that I know that you're the BSG expert for Bounding.
we'll see. Like back at that time, when they were coming out with the mini and stuff, I know it was a huge point of contention, because if you guys remember, we really didn't have Twitter or anything like that. We didn't have like a whole lot of that stuff around. So when the rumors came out that they were going to gender swap some characters and stuff, I mean, you can imagine people even then were like, oh, what is this? Because there were a lot of TOS purists and in the community when the 2000s BSG was on. I mean, that was, you think back then, we would kill to have that now, where that would be the only minor bugaboo, would be people would be arguing about, some character swaps. But yeah, back then that was a big deal, because the TOS purists, they were not happy about it. But I kept an open mind. I was one of those fans where I was like, I want to see what the new take is like. And then when I saw the miniseries, I mean, it absolutely blew me away. And she did such a good job as Starbuck. You had this new layer to Starbuck. She actually had a name, Kara Thrace. Mm-hmm. And, it wasn't just Starbuck running around, hopping in beds and stuff, or just being a hot Viper jock. I mean, Starbuck had layers to her. She wasn't perfect. She was a flawed character, and she had a very fascinating arc. And people forgot really quick that, it was a different Starbuck. They enjoyed, Katie Sackhoff's portrayal of Starbuck, and now, you ask people now, I mean, there's an argument to be made who's actually the definitive Starbuck, because Dirk Benedict and Katie Sackhoff both did a wonderful job, respectively.
Yeah. And that's you brought up Dirk Benedict. It was interesting because yeah, when the newer version of BSG was coming out and the miniseries was about to come out, everybody was because he's such a beloved character and actor. I mean, people just remember him from the A Team, and people just loved him. And yeah, there were some people out there who were like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" But like I was saying before, I think you were in the process of coming on. Science fiction is amazing because it's not so much like you can almost do anything. It really is more about how you do it. If you do it respectfully, than what it is you're doing, because you can probably get away with anything in science fiction.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of room to play. I like the fact that with the new show, the way that things went down. The guy that just did Mr. Robot, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably heard of, or at least like given a watch to Mr. Robot, and it's a pretty good show, all in all. So the guy that did that show is doing the new Battlestar. So what happened was he met with Ron Moore,
Mhm.
and obviously at first Ron was skeptical. He didn't exactly know what to make of it, and then when they sat down and had the face-to-face meeting, he was like, "Okay, this has merit." And Ron Moore actually gave him the blessing and said, "Go ahead. You can do the setting in the already established universe. I have no issue with it." Because Ron Moore's biggest concern was he didn't want the show rebooted. So it is definitely not going to be a reboot. So in some form or fashion, we're either going to have something moving forward or for Cylon War. My gut tells me they will go for Cylon War, because not only do you have a whole lot of things to play with, but you also have additional lore that has been introduced into that universe. Because for those of you out there that play video games, there's a game on Steam called Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. It's a strategy game, but it's set in the Ron Moore universe during the first Cylon War. So there's a lot of new ships. There's some new characters. There's some things that we didn't know that happened that is covered in the game. And they have a big opportunity here to fully just cross over, already have a built-in marketing, to the fans with the game, and then do really well with the show if they run it sort of side by side. So my everything I know in my gut is telling me it's going to be for Cylon War.
Well, that's good news to me because I was really concerned about it's if you were going to try to reboot BSG. I think it's first of all, I think it's way too early to even think about that. And
Mm-hmm.
and let me ask you this: what was your feeling on the show Caprica? Did you get watch that or?
I thought Caprica had promise, but it was David Icke kind of sort of after BST ended. David Icke kind of went and headed up Caprica, and the thing with Caprica was it had some promise, but it didn't really take off. It didn't capture that same sort of aesthetic that Battlestar did. A lot of I remember when Caprica was on, when because I still had at the time back then when the 2000s BSG was on, I ran the third largest fan community online, period. At the time, I ran
Really?
Pegasus Actual is what it was called, and
Oh, wow.
at our peak we had something like 30,000 members. So yeah, it was pretty sizable, and we were number 3, right behind sci-fi.com, and there was another fan community called Ragnar Anchorage, and then it was us. So yeah, it was I remember when Caprica was on, a lot of people were like, man, this could be a good show. It has potential, but it's too kind of soap opera-y. And people kind of felt like the action was lacking. The storylines weren't as compelling as BSG was, and BSG I think just had the perfect storm, and Caprica sort of missed out on it because it did have a lot of potential. And then Sci-Fi didn't get behind the show either because they, obviously they did what they always do. I hated the Sci-Fi network. They always just canceled stuff too early, and Caprica was no different. They didn't give it a chance.
Yeah. I couldn't get into it, Drew. I tried and I tried and
Mm-hmm.
it was yeah, it was not it didn't feel right to me. I know I could see where it integrated into the whole big storyline, but yeah, it was hard for me.
Yeah, the problem was like it wasn't that the actors didn't give good performances, but I don't think the characters were nearly as compelling. People when you watched the 2000s BSG, you got invested in Caprica 6. You got invested in you know Boomer or Athena, whichever Sharon that you liked. You were invested in Hilo. You were invested in Kara and Lee and Admiral Dama, and just the characters were larger than life in that one, and they didn't have that same presence in Caprica at all.
Yeah, and I forget about that all the time. The Boomer was a gender swap too.
Yeah, and you know what? Again, Grace Park did an amazing job. I mean, it was a stroke of brilliance actually having her be a Cylon model. That was great. Because I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it was I don't know, it was so well done. I it um do you want to talk a little bit? I mean, because you probably know this better than anybody. Do you want to talk a little bit about why or how Ronald D. Moore left Voyager? Do you know? I mean, do you know kind of the backstory there to talk to share?
I know that I remember reading about how they had differences in how they were going to do Voyager, and I know pretty much Ira Staven Bear and he were. It seemed like they had both had different visions how it wanted to go, and so I think he just kind of ended up backing out because when you have those sort of meetings and you've got a lot of creatives in there and you're all trying to work on the same thing, but everybody has a different vision, and you're sort of banging your head against the wall. I think it was one of those kind of things. And Ron Moore said, well, it's probably a perfect time for me to take off and think about doing other things. And I think that's what happened in there. And they had the concept they wanted, hey, look, Ira Stephen Bear and Brandon Braga and those guys, they came up with the what we knew of Voyager, and that ended up being that, but yeah, Ron Moore had a little bit different vision for it, and then when his ideas didn't fly, he just was like, well, peace, I think it's time to dip and see what I can work on my own. And it worked out well because BSG wound up being like one of the best shows ever to air. Period. I mean, as much as I love TOS BSG, I mean, 2000s BSG was one of the best sci-fi television shows of all time. That 5-year run was awesome.
Absolutely, it was, and I remember just being on the edge of my seat the whole time with BSG.
Yeah, feel better, Casey. I see. You said that you gotta get some rest and getting a little pain. So take care of yourself. Feel better.
Feel better, Kathia. Thanks for stopping in. And guys, check out Kathia's YouTube channel and subscribe to it if you haven't. She has some very, very entertaining, very upbeat YouTube videos out there to see. uh, what was Drew? What was your your impression of the finale, of the season finale of BS Battlestar?
I thought the finale was pretty good. I know, God, the this is funny, guys, because little sidebar here. I was telling some friends the other day, on Twitter. I was like, man, I should put up a picture of Lee and Kara and say, and send it to the Raylos and say, hey, this is how you ship characters. but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, the BSG finale was I thought it was done well. I think my biggest nitpick with the whole thing was I wish they wouldn't they've killed Starbuck off in the first place, because having her come back was, as I guess, a guardian angel was kind of silly. They could have just, had her survive, or I would have liked to have seen her come back as a Cylon. But either way, um, even with that sort of big flaw, I thought that the finale was pretty good. It wrapped it up as best as could be. There's room for debate. I mean, we could talk about the fact that, they kind of, that was kind of goofy of them to say, Lee's like, well, we should just do the clean slate thing. Why do we need new cities and new technology, blah blah blah. And, you can argue either way on that one. That part I was kind of iffy on, but the rest of it, as far as the payoffs for what was going to happen to the characters, so on and so forth, I thought it was handled all right. So I didn't necessarily see too much of a problem with the finale. I mean, if I were to, gun to my head, go 1 to 10 on it, I would have gave the finale a solid 7.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that it is hard to make it, yeah, to tie everything together and end something like that and
Mm-hmm.
have it be satisfactory to everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the biggest. I think were the two biggest things. The biggest nitpicks I saw where people were, sort of split on the, hey, let's get rid of all the ships, toss them into the sun, and start brand new with the clean slate. A lot of people were split on that. I know there was a lot of audience debate about that afterwards, and then of course, just the whole general way that things turned out with Starbuck. People wanted Kara. They didn't want Guardian Angel Kara. They wanted Kara. So you know, still, I thought it was done well. It was a pretty satisfying ending.
What did you think? What did you think about? I was debating whether even to do this video or not today on the topic of the hair dryer and the space ponies.
Mm-hmm.
I basically did it just because nobody's talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's not that much to say really. But what is your, what did you see it when did?
Dude, I have seen the Rise of Skywalker 2 times more than I wanted to spend 4 hours of my life. I mean, I saw it. I guess pre-opening night, and then I saw it. One of my buddies was like, "Hey, I want to go to a movie, dude. I want to see Rise of Skywalker," and I'm like, "Dude, if we're going to see that movie, you're paying." so so that's how I went and wound up seeing it a second time. But yeah, I mean, it's clear to me stuff like that was definitely thrown in for marketing. I still want to know how there's coherence to the fact of, and I know that they tried to address it in the plot, even, that they couldn't be detected, because they didn't have landing pods or anything. They couldn't be detected because they were using horses on the thing. But it's like, why? Oh God, just why? The cavalry charge across the Star Destroyer makes no sense.
Yeah, doesn't it seem just like yeah, it seems like they just really twisted his arm to get it done, man. To me, I don't know.
Well, with the leaks that came out, PJ, I mean, you know, I mean, I don't think JJ wanted nonsensical crap in there like that. I really don't. You know, and it said clearly he was not really happy with some of the things that they wanted to shoehorn into that. And I fully believe it's stuff like this because it makes the movie look really asinine. It does. Because when you're sitting there like watching something like that, your eyes are just rolling. You're like, really? I mean, so
I can imagine you seeing it because I couldn't sit through it a second time. I can imagine you seeing it a second time. You must have picked apart a lot of stuff the second time around.
there was. I mean, you could definitely see there were spots in the movie, which lends even more credence to the leaks, by the way, of the way that, just guys, there was an immense amount of this movie left on the cutting room floor. I mean, because you could see the spots that look even disjointed because of the way that it's edited together. So something was there, but you don't pick it up the first time because the movie's moving 100 miles an hour. But if you get a second viewing of it, you can see like just where things are missing. Because there's certain things, one scene will be doing this and the next scene will be doing that doesn't make any sense at all. So and that's on editing, because we know that's something in post, that's on editing. So that's something that was left on the cutting room floor. And again, with these leaks coming out, everything makes so much more sense.
Swift Raptor says has no intention of watching the Rise of Skywalker. Spend spend his money on second season of the Orville. That's a good call.
Swift Raptor, I will say this. Just to see, just to say that you saw 1 through 9 completely, Troz is worth at least one viewing, even if you have to do it by alternative means. Not that I'm suggesting that, but whatever way that you view Troz, if you give it one viewing, it is worth it to say that you saw it, and to just, you can that way give an accurate judgment on it and say, well, I liked it, or man, this is a flaming bag of cat turds, either way. I personally, it's like when you asked in chat what you thought, people's impressions of it were, PJ. That's why I said 4.5. I think it's like, just, it wanted to be a decent movie, but I think with everything that's cut out of it, yeah, it takes it down to a 4.5 movie.
Yeah, I when people are talking about boycotting it, I think that by its very nature, it's going to get a partial boycott, and I'll tell you why. Because this is the kind of movie, a Star Wars movie is the kind of movie that people go and see 3 or 4 times, or at least twice, if they enjoyed it. And the fact that I'm not going to see it a third or fourth or second time is already boycotting.
Yeah, yeah. Swift Raptor says, with respect, my headcanon legacy ended with Return of the Jedi. Dude, I feel the same way, man. But I'm just happy I saw all 9. But I mean, sure, in my head, the Disney trilogy, is dead to me. It doesn't exist. But that's I'm just glad that I saw it, at least, to say, well, I did see 1 through 9. But
Yeah,
does it?
even if it's for closure.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was. I just wanted to be able to say I saw 1 through 9. But yeah, Return of the Jedi is the ending I picture in my head, and I think that's what most of us picture in our head. And I love the EU, same as Ambassador. I've talked EU on Ambassador's channel with him before, and whatnot, and which by the way, since like my boys are all in the chat, Ambassador, Wes Moody, you, PJ. Man, one of these times I got to get all you guys on my channel, and we need to go have a go at a panel together.
I don't know if I'm subscribed to you. Am I?
Yeah.
Am I? I gotta subscribe to you if I'm not. Um, so what is your what? So what's the general direction? What's new in bounding into comics? What do you guys? What's new for you guys right now in 2020?
Well, I know today so far we just we've got some general stories up. We don't have anything really juicy like we did yesterday with the leaks. So we've got just you know, I know that Jorge did a story about the this really stupid tweet that Rose McGowan made. And, obviously, guys, we're here for sci-fi. We're not going to get political. But, I would suggest if you guys want a good laugh, go and check out that story by Jorge on the site today. It's pretty good. We also have a story up there. News outlets slam male audiences for lack of interest in the latest Little Women adaptation, which, is no surprise because it's a completely feminist Little Women adaptation. So go figure. Why would we not be interested?
Did you see it?
No, and I probably won't. I'll take The Witcher all day, every day.
Are you? So did you enjoy it? Did you finish watching The Witcher, the whole thing?
Oh my God, yes. And I'm a gamer, dude. I love The Witcher as it was, and then just like watching the show, man. I will tell you this, PJ. Henry Cavill owned that role, dude, from minute one. I mean, the guy was just awesome. And even the chick that they got to do Yennefer was really good. Pleasant surprise. I think my biggest beef with the whole thing was Triss Marigold. She's supposed to be a really hot ginger, and I didn't get my really hot ginger Triss Marigold, so I'm a little upset. But I'll live. I didn't see as much of a problem. I know back before The Witcher fully came into focus, we didn't know what it was going to be in concept. We had done some stories on Bounding about it, and I had done an article where we were talking about the race swapping and stuff, and we didn't know how it was going to turn out. Well, it turned out like the way that they put The Witcher together, it didn't wind up being a big deal because they didn't sit there and try to virtue signal the whole show. And that's fine. You want to make a statement quietly with a race swap on a character? Hey, that's cool if they can pull the character off. And with Frangilla, I thought the actress that they have for she did a good job. Sure, Frangilla was a white character. It's all good, but this woman did an equally acceptable job, and there was no issue whatsoever. Because difference is, you take something like Doctor Who compared to The Witcher. Doctor Who virtue signals all over the place over the past season and still into this new season. The Witcher doesn't virtue signal at all. So not that I saw. And so, I was happy with it.
It was okay. It was. I didn't have any problems with it.
And the sword, man, the sword play and the fights were great, PJ.
Yeah, and that whole element of people actually fighting with magic, and that I mean, full fantasy, like much more than Game of Thrones. I mean, it was very interesting.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm glad you brought that up, man, because they made sort of the use of magic. It wasn't like super over the top. It was just right, and I felt like they made fighting with magic believable. Like you said, I really like that aspect of it.
What you just said, it felt believable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And and that's the mark of anything that's good, whether it's sci-fi, whether it's fantasy. If you can tell your story to the audience, and if you have important elements in there, like whether it be magic or whether it be swordplay or whether it be whatever, but if it's believable to the audience, then you've conveyed it amazingly, and you've done a good job, and that's what I think The Witcher accomplished here. So yeah, I'm actually really excited for the second season of it. The Witcher actually beat out The Mandalorian too, guys, because yeah, it did. It did better than The Mandalorian.
Did where do you see those numbers, or where do you get that from? Sure.
There was a story, and I know that I submitted it to the site. I don't know when John's gonna publish it up there. It's sitting in the queue right now. So, but there was a story. I'm trying to find the article that I referenced my story from, and then let's see. If you just look up, like I think you can find it on. See, I don't want to refer you guys to Forbes.
Okay.
But oh god, I hate using CBR. CBR has a story about it though. For comparison, the highly popular Star Wars series, The Mandalorian, enjoyed 115 million demand expressions, and for the week of December 22nd to 28th, the live-action adaptation of The Witcher saw 127 million. And there's a representative from Parrot Analytics, the firm that released the data. Basically they said that 127 to 115. Yeah, the Witcher is more popular. So
Okay.
so that's where you get the data. But yeah, I have the story referencing all that. So I'm just again, we're waiting for that to pop up on the site. But yeah, that it's true though. It did beat out The Mandalorian. So
What was your did you feel that the first half of The Witcher was it just good story building, or was it a little bit slow, or was it just building foundation?
well, according to the lady that's the showrunner, she said that she did some of the some of the short stories first before she started getting into the big stuff. So I can see sort of where that they did that, and then did that build. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty decent story building. Sure, it could have been a little bit quicker, but she said that she wanted to do some of the short stories first, and then get into the meat of the actual main story. So yeah, I said it worked out good.
Yeah. Any comment on the? You obviously heard about the two movie critics who watched like two episodes and critiqued it as an F.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust critics anymore. Period. To be honest, I mean, they get so goofy, and I think a lot of them are elitists. They have these weird standards that, I mean, they're so out of touch with the average, television viewer or moviegoer.
They are out of touch.
They really are, and they have really ridiculous, asinine standards. So it's like, I don't think unless something comes along that's some kind of magnum opus that checks all their little personal boxes, I don't think they really like anything.
And what about, now that I got you on here, I'm going to ask you about The Mandalorian. What was your take on The Mandalorian?
Decent series. I know when we did some of our episode reviews during the season, unbounding and whatnot. The main thing I know that all of us collectively that watched it had an issue with was the fact that I don't know. It felt like if you're playing that MMO Star Wars: The Old Republic and you're playing the bounty hunter story, it felt like something like that. It was like something out of a video game because you got main character running around. He's not really doing any discernible main quest, but he's doing all these little side quests to level up and get new items and new armor. He levels his gear. He's picking up a party and he finally gets an objective, and it's like, well, it's like, man, I guess if you want to consider Baby Yoda an objective, but yeah, I mean, the thing with, because it had so many different directors in it, there were a lot of little one-off episodes, and I think had there been more of a concentrated storyline going through the entire thing, it would have been better. But I mean, it still was a solid show. Like, again, scale 1 to 10, I would have gave Mandalorian 6.5 or a 7.
What did you feel about? Did you feel that there's the whole thing about the tracking fob needed to be explained a little bit? Because
I just thought it was stupid. To be honest, the tracking fobs looked stupid because it looked just like a car alarm. And then you had, like, I mean, if you're gonna have like a tracking device, at least, I don't know, have something cool. And yeah, I mean, they didn't really explain it all that well. So yeah, I mean, I think they should have put a little explanation in it, but I think they also should have reworked it so, I don't know, it was actually something that people wouldn't say, "Oh God, this is cheesy."
the thing is though, so I mean, you remember, for example, the old Total Recall movie where Arnold
Mm-hmm.
Schwarzenegger has to remove his tracking device through his, I think through his nose, was it, or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You would think that the first thing that the Mandalorian, this like ace bounty hunter, would do would be remove the ability to track the Baby Yoda. So that's why I think it needs to be explained, because it makes no sense that he can't stop Baby Yoda from being tracked. To me, I mean,
Yeah, I know. And again, there's a lot of stuff that they don't really close up. I don't know. I mean, the Witcher, you take something like The Witcher is like a little more simplified because you don't have like these little unexplained things in there that you have to worry about explaining. Been pretty. They've stayed pretty much on eyes on the prize with The Witcher, but it's like The Mandalorian has these little details in it that are they're just not even addressed, and it's like it leaves the audience scratching their head or rolling their eyes, and yeah, and that's not good. And pretty much, I think the best episodes of the season were just the Deborah Chow ones, and the rest were kind of.
hmm. What do you think the next steps are for Star Wars? Do you think that from the rumors we're hearing?
Well, they're definitely going to try to capitalize more on the Mandalorian because it still did pretty well. So they're going to try to capitalize on that. They're going to try to. I know that there's rumblings out there that some of the Disney trilogy characters or somebody or some of the Skywalker saga characters, is how they put it, are possibly going to make appearances in the show. We'll see. They're definitely going to capitalize on that for the time being. I know the Deborah Chow Kenobi series might go decent, but they're going to try and ride the series for the next little while before they do another motion picture, because I definitely think they're going Old Republic with the next trilogy, and it doesn't give me a lot of hope. I hope that they can Kathleen Kennedy before they do that, because I don't want to see my favorite personal era of the expanded universe get destroyed. I mean, if they do something to Darth Revan, it's on. I am not a happy camper. You don't mess with Revan.
I don't know. As if they've even gone and stabbed even JJ in the back, I mean, I don't. I think it's time to get some new leadership there, and I think probably it probably is just a matter of form. It's a formality that somebody like Favreau will probably be left in charge.
Yeah, you got to think about it, PJ. Think about it from the other side. If there's like, creative people out there, directors or showrunners, whatever, people are going to think twice before signing on to a movie after what's been done to Abrams, because their agent's going to say, I don't know if you'd want to rush to sign that contract.
Yeah.
So and if the agent's worth their salt, of course they're going to tell their client that you shouldn't. And so there has to be, at this point, I think, changes made at Disney. Kathleen Kennedy needs to be gone, because if that is true, what happened to Abrams, they do that to him, they'll do that to anybody. And I think that goes back to Story Group. They let the Story Group have way too much power.
You mean in all the films?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. They let the Story Group have way too much power, and they don't have a legitimate Story Group. Let's face it, guys. You guys know the story out there. Anybody that's in the fandom menace, we're all in the know. We know that the Story Group is Pablo Hidalgo and all them. They are flaming SJWs. We know that. There's no sort of like actual independent, coherent thought. It's just all to the narrative type of thinking. So, yeah, they gave the Story Group way too much carte blanche to do things, and that's, I think, a lot of the reason that the Disney trilogy went in the toilet. And Kathleen Kennedy, she's directly to blame. She handed the Story Group that carte blanche, and Bob Iger is to blame for letting all of this happen on his watch. So,
any other job, if you screwed up 4 out of 5 big projects, because we can give her the fact that Rogue One was okay. I know some people think it's good. It's a good movie. I thought it was good.
Well, that why? Because Gareth Edwards put his foot down. He wasn't going to let his vision be screwed up. That's why they never asked Gareth Edwards back, because he was a little vocal.
Can you fill us in a little bit more on that? Do you have any?
Well, I remember, and this was before I was working for Bounding, but I remember reading articles at the time about, Gareth Edwards being quite vocal, and he wasn't asked back to come back to do any more movies, because he was vocal and outspoken. He didn't, when he was doing Rogue One, he had very specific vision, and when they tried to meddle, he kind of just did it anyway. He told them to F off. So that's, and it's telling, because you can see that Edwards was never asked back for anything.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And by all accounts, if we want to argue what Rogue One means in the pantheon of Star Wars, by all means, we can have that debate. We always do. People list their movies how personally they see them, but Rogue One was a pretty decent success, and it goes without saying it was still one of the most successful Disney Star Wars movies. So that being said, why wouldn't the man be asked back? Well, pretty much it boils down to the fact he's too much of an independent thinker for their tastes.
Hmm. Interesting. So what? Yeah. So I mean, that goes to the point that I was saying that basically 4 out of the 5 movies under Kathleen Kennedy were, they
Mm-hmm.
were at the very least, problematic, if not some of them were failures, on first Star Wars level, and yeah, it's time for new blood. Obviously, did you see um, did you see that Chewie shot that just for me I saw that shot of Chewie from the side in the desert, and it just felt like it felt, you know what it felt, felt like a behind the scenes picture,
Mm-hmm.
shot of, for the actor getting ready to play Chewie. It felt like it. I don't know. What did you think? Do you remember that shot?
Yeah, I remember that shot. It was kind of. I was just like, I remember seeing it. I was like, what am I looking at here? It's just, I was just kind of like, I sort of gave it that look at the time, and yeah, it was just not the greatest.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it just felt like a just felt like one more sign that something was wrong in the movie. I don't think it. I don't think. I don't think JJ would have left that shot in there, to be honest. Regardless of
No,
what people think of it.
there had they kept their hands off and let him do what he wanted. Do I think by any means JJ would have had like some masterpiece? No. But I
Right.
think it would have, you know, been similar to The Force Awakens, where I don't think it would have done anything to really, disrespect Star Wars.
Yeah, you're
Which,
right.
which, as much as people want to bash on the Disney trilogy as a whole, I mean, remember, guys, even though Force Awakens was a rehash of New Hope, yeah, we know that. It still wasn't disrespectful to Star Wars. I mean, other than the part of Han Solo dying, which, by the way, we Ford went out anyway. We all knew that. Um, I don't think that was a disrespectful movie in any way. Um, and I think JJ would have done the same thing with this movie. It would have been like it would have been safe. It would have been probably a tribute. Would have probably have sort of combined like a little Empire, maybe a little ROTJ, and that would have been that. But again, Story Group and Kennedy wanted their way, and they overruled JJ, and we got what we got.
So now that we got you on here, Drew, let me just ask you about, what are you guys prepping to cover? I know there's a wide variety of things you guys cover, but do you have any special plans regarding Picard at Bounding?
I know that we're going to definitely keep track of it. I don't know if we're gonna actually do like a dedicated thing. I think on the bounding panels we might have Jorge, probably do like an episodic recap of it or something. But um, we're again keeping track of it in the news sphere and everything else, and we'll write articles about it as details come out, or depending what our sources tell us and things. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna like dive full splash into it, because here's the reason. Picard doesn't feel epic. You see, you guys see what I'm saying here, because it doesn't. Star Trek, something that big should feel epic, and
Oh yeah.
Picard does not feel epic. And it's sad, because the return of a character like that and a new narrative with him in it should be. And there's a problem when you can't even generate enough hype.
You're absolutely right. Actually, one of the rumors that that I've been hearing is that the CBS showrunners are kind of concerned about they're kind of concerned about all this backlash from Star Wars. I don't know if it makes sense, to be honest, but I've heard that they're concerned about this negative atmosphere, just kind of people transferring it over to anything they see wrong with Picard. And it seems like they're kind of flying under the radar until the show comes up.
They probably are, but the thing is, dude, if Frakes and Berman were doing Picard, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it.
Oh no.
You know, and that's the thing. They don't seem to understand. Kurtzman just doesn't know Trek. He doesn't have respect for Trek. He handles Trek like he's doing Hawaii Five-O or one of those like other action shows that they do.
You're right.
And you can't do Trek like that. You could do Trek like in the movies, like the Chris Pine movies. That can work a little bit. In a show like this, no, you can't do that in episodic Trek. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And then if you add in the woke formula yet, I mean, sure, it's a you add those two things together, it's a recipe for disaster, and it's like, yeah, people aren't enthused.
The woke formula, from my perspective, the woke formula in Discovery is just it's a lot worse than it is in Star Wars.
Oh God, Discovery is just over the top, man. And
Do you consider yourself a Trekkie, Drew?
I'm probably like a Trekker. I watched like my primary thing that I mean I like the original series, but I was definitely a TNG era guy. I liked TNG, DS9, and Voyager. Those were my big three, and then to a degree I liked a little bit of Enterprise, but I was definitely a TNG, DS9, Voyager guy, and that was my personal favorite, and so for me, the Picard series, yeah, it kind of pisses me off in a way. I didn't want to see Captain Picard come back, honestly.
Not like this.
If they were going to do a series, I mean, put Worf in command, or do something Klingon centric with Worf, or take a character like you're going to bring Data back. You could have put Data in command. That's fine. With a different crew, that could have worked. Or even because I think the ship sailed. A lot of people were like, "Well, I want to see something with Riker and Troy. I want to see the Titan." Well, the ship kind of sailed on that because they're turning into old fogies, guys. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen something. I think that would have worked out with probably War for Data, but they came up with this Picard series, and as much as I like and respect Patrick Stewart, I don't think it's going to do that well.
Yeah. Michael Dorn definitely should have been given his own show. It actually seems like he's going to be. It actually seems like he's going to be one of the only TNG characters not to come back initially, because the CBS has pushed that big decision to season 2 of Picard. And what I mean by the big decision is, what the hell do we do with the Klingons? Do we keep them as the Kling orcs, or do we keep them, or do we go back to, or do we try to explain it in canon or whatever? So it looks like he's been pushed off till season 2.
It looks to me like if you pay attention, you watch that. There's a video clip of Discovery, and I want to say it might be like that big battle scene, just before the Discovery jumps away, whatever. where where the Klingons come in to save them.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is an older there is a more traditional looking Klingon on the bridge of the Klingon ship. So that sort of gave me a clue as to like, well, maybe they're going to go with the traditional Klingon look. So, I think that that could be a possibility. They go with the traditional Klingon look again.
Really? Okay.
Because if you go back and watch that clip, and I'm sure you can find it because it's all over YouTube. There's multiple uploads of it. It's just that big fight scene where they were fighting the Section 31 ships or whatever.
Mm. That drives me nuts, Drew. The whole Section 31 thing. It's like it's like the CIA having more ships and more resources than
Yeah,
the
they
Navy.
wanted it's like you said, PJ. They wanted to make Section 31 like the CIA, and I think that's where they screwed up. I mean, Section 31 is supposed to be an intelligence service. It's like the Tal Shiar. It's like the Obsidian Order. Sure, they'll have a little bit of resources, but they're not going to have that. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Well, I don't even know where to begin with Discovery. I think that let me ask you one more question. I gotta wrap this up soon, but let me ask you one more question because it's a privilege to have you on here, Drew. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what is your take on Michael Chabon has been said that he's stepped down.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on him having had any positive influence on the final product for season one?
Shaban seemed, I was okay with Shaban being a part of it, and if they keep sort of some of his ideas and the the vision he sort of had for it, it might do halfway decent. But if they go and just throw a lot of his stuff out and just overwoke it and everything else, it's just gonna crash and burn out of the gate. Because you can that's the thing that Hollywood doesn't get. They think if they throw a lot of shiny nostalgia in front of your faces, that it's all going to be okay because nostalgia. But they take for granted every single time that we are intelligent fans. We know Star Trek. We know Star Wars. We know Battlestar Galactica. And we have a certain standard of expectation. We want things to just be coherent. We want a good story. We don't need it to necessarily reflect everyday life. We don't need rip from the headline stories. This isn't a police procedural. We just want good story and escapist entertainment. And that is every single time what they forget because they go and, they take us for granted. And they think, oh, we'll just throw a few shinies in front of your face. It'll be fine. And it won't be. That's not how we work.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
nostalgia is not going to save that show if it sucks. Because we're going to know it sucks. And we're going to tell them it sucks.
Oh wow, wow. Um, I gotta go pick up kids, Drew. So I want to say thank you for thanks for making yourself
Yeah.
available.
Hey,
And
thanks for having me on, man.
I the reason I asked you to come on is because I think in the back of my head, I definitely now that we started doing streaming in a more regular way, I would love to do stuff whenever you feel like it, or vice
Yeah,
versa.
sure. Just keep in touch, brother. DM me anytime, and we'll definitely get together. And like I said, I want to get the entire Rogues Gallery together. My buddies, you and Ambassador and Wes, and get the three of us mess around on a panel sometime, that would be awesome. I'm over on my channel. So
Absolutely, whenever. And let me also say thanks to you guys, because you and John are in your own way are also very supportive of all of us. So we thank you.
oh yeah, it's our pleasure, and guys, continue to read us on boundingintocomics.com. We'll always try to get the best in stories up there for you. Good stuff for you guys to sit back and read with a cup of coffee, and we'll try to get the best information in the fandom out to you. So keep that in mind. And if you guys just want to check out my channel, it's youtube.com/Supreme Heretic. I've got I'll be bringing back my panel this next week coming up. It's going to be called the Pegasus Actual Podcast. That'll be on Thursday. Myself, Script Doctor, Brian the Gravedigger, and of course, Pegasus Actual Podcast will be all things BSG. So,
and you guys just hold on 1 sec. I'm just putting Drew's own personal channel in here. I didn't put it in here before. So subscribe to Bounding Into Comics and subscribe to Drew's channel, Supreme Heretic, on YouTube and on Twitter. Twitter's important, guys. Don't forget to develop your Twitters.
If you're a content creator, Twitter is your friend.
All right, Drew. Well, thank you so much, and you have an awesome weekend. And we'll see. I guess we'll see you around the chat rooms.
You too, my brother. You take care of yourself. Thank you so much for having me on again, man. I love you, Orbital Nation. You're a good dude. It's like I said, PJ. You definitely know your stuff. You do good stuff, and you're great in the community. And it's a pleasure to be your pal.
Likewise. Thank you, my friend. And thanks to Dr. Coffin Nails, Ambassador, MacGyver, Adega, Tank, who was in here before, Swift Raptor, everybody who's been in here at some point today. So thanks, guys. Have an awesome night.